Today, we're going to talk about how you too can make your own moss terrarium to delight your friends during the holidays. I'm excited that there's a resurgence of interest in these miniature environments that you can create for yourself. A terrarium is a container with a lid. You want to create a closed environment so that the natural processes of transpiration and respiration can occur naturally. You can use any kind of a jar or clear container because that helps you see inside of it. But if you want to use something like a mason jar or any other type, that's okay too. The catch is that once you've watered it, you will mist it only once a month. Whereas if you had an open container, you'd be misting every single day. The majority of your time in making your terrarium will actually be in gathering your supplies if you want to do it all yourself. Of course, if you decide you want to order a terrarium kit from my online moss shop, then most everything you need will come in your order. However, you might want to add some extra little tools because you never know when it might be handy to have chopsticks to make an arrangement, or maybe even a fondue fork to poke something around. Lordy, what if it gets dirty on the edge and you need to clean it out? A paintbrush of any sort, or even a toothbrush will come in handy. We're going to use a glass container that's brand new. So you need to make sure that you prep it first. You do want to rinse out your container or wipe it out with a damp paper towel or rag before you start to plant. Ready, set, and go. We're going to start right now. This particular container has a cool little bottom hole in it. So I think it looks kind of neat to add in just a few decorative clear glass pebbles. The next step is that we're going to put in a protective layer of geotex fabric so that the dirt that you use for your plants won't seep down into the hole and make it look ugly. Now, if you end up getting a DIY terrarium kit, just take the tray liner. That's all you need to do is use it. And I found that the lid is about the size that you want it to be. So you just put it right down there in the middle. Now, you're going to add your soil. The soil really isn't for the mosses. It's for whatever kind of vascular plant or little flower that you want to add in. You can use all different kinds of soil. And I have a special mix of debris, litter, pine needles, accumulated soil, whatever. But if you want to, you can use some kind of a soil that you purchase from the store. That's okay as well. Add a little bit of sphagnum moss. But y'all, I hate to use it for its moisture content. I like using it so much better as a decorative element that I'm only going to pull off a little bit of this bottom to mix in. Now, you're probably going, well, I thought you had to use charcoal. Well, activated charcoal does help the soil stay a little fresher. You'll see that by the time I get finished, I'm going to have it covering basically the bottom part of the container. Now, has anybody noticed one other factor? I have chosen a terrarium or a glass container that has a nice big hole. I can get my hands down in there. I like to use native plants most often, and so I've chosen Goodyear pubescens, which is downy rattlesnake plantain. If you'll note, it has a sideways root, and that's one of the reasons I like it. So you need to get your plant in there first as one of your elements. But I hope that you've already been thinking about your design concept and where each one of your elements will be placed. Now, in my head, I actually already have an idea. And so I particularly like quartz to be used as an anchor rock. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can choose plants that come from a box store, but just make sure you get them miniature in size and that they're appropriate for the container shape. We need to have a selection of mosses, and I've picked some of my very favorite ones that work well in terrariums. Thuidium is a sideways grower, and it looks like a little fern. Over here, I've selected a bit of hypnum, which also grows sideways like a fern, but also in the colonies, you'll find leucobrium. Oh, here's some pretty dicranum growing with a little bit of reindeer moss, which, by the way, is a lichen, not a moss. And my very favorite of all is Climacium. I heartily encourage you to either purchase live mosses from a reputable supplier like me, or to go gather mosses from your own yard. Do not steal them from the forest. Well, we'll start with Climacium. If you'll notice, I'm not using any of those common names. If you're buying something called sheep moss or mood moss, in all likelihood, you're getting it from a place that doesn't even know its scientific name in the first place. I'm going to put some of this Climacium over here on this side. I'm going to turn it around so you can see a little better. Oh my goodness. Look at how good that is. It's like you just created a forest. To add even more interest to this terrarium, I'm going to use a dicranum colony that has sporophytes on the top. Sporophytes are the reproductive structure of a moss plant. And inside these little tiny capsules right here, spores accumulate, they disperse, and then they make new plants eventually. I'm going to put it right here next to this rock because the contrast of the white quartz and that bright green look pretty good to me. I like it. Now you see how I'm creating depth at this point? Now tuck your mosses in around your plants. Oop. Get that little, what is that? That's a leaf we don't need. Oh yeah. Now just wrap the mosses around the top of the roots if there are any exposed still. All right, now that's looking pretty fine. Get your stones down in there, or glass pebbles. You do want to turn them right side up. Oh, Lordy, see, I'm being awful picky, aren't I? But that ensures that we end up with a really beautiful result. And it's getting there, don't you think? In fact, there's not much more that I think needs to happen. But if a fairy came along, they could sit right down in there and dangle their feet off of that little white rock. But to make it an even more magical place, let's add in a finishing touch of a lichen stick. This is Usnea. It's kind of dry, so I'm going to moisten it even before I put it in. Oh, don't forget that you might want to add something personal. For me, it's a little decorative white squirrel, and I do think those little moss fairies might like it. And isn't that a cool acorn cap? Let's put that on in the terrarium and add just a little bit more magic. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now sneak your little cat back here along the edge. My last step would be to mist it. And if you have planted a vascular plant or flower, give it a little tiny drink. Essentially, you are finished. You can now put the lid on your terrarium, carry your terrarium inside, enjoy it during your holidays. Lord, if you get married, you can even use these on your wedding tables. How's that for an idea? You can have fun with your friends, with your children, your grandchildren, making your terrariums. I hope that you'll like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if old Mossin Annie can help you out with your supplies, please visit mountainmoss.com and order one of our DIY terrarium kits.